let me address formally. So welcome to the second lecture by Dr. Arjun. So Dr. Arjun is going to deliver a speech on the canvas, right? Today is more on the canvas and how you put your idea into the canvas. So I'll let this stage right to Dr. Arjun to deliver his sharing. All right. So let's pay attention, right? Students and participants, please pay attention to the speech and as well the sharing. And if you have any question, please post it on the chat, right? I love you to put the chat in the chat and questions, anything even related to the topic or something that is happening to you, maybe some concern you want to ask opinion, right? Yes, please put it into the text box, and then we go. I think Dr. Arjun's lovely and gladly to share his knowledge, right? If possible, I could share as well. Okay, Dr. Arjun, the stage is yours. Now it's in record.
Thank you, sir.
I think it's in record mode, right? Let's see.
Yes.
Yes, in record mode now. Please, yes. Okay, we got started. Yes. Yeah, I could see this. I could see the screen.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Nice to meet you all again after last week's session. So this is our second session. So for people who are joining new to this session, you can get the recording of my last session where we spoke about design thinking to identify a good business problem to solve. So you can view that video as well. So in today's session, we will be seeing about lean startup method and the business model canvas. So let's have a small recap of what we did in the last session. So in the last session, we spoke about design thinking. So why we started off this lecture series with a session on design thinking? Because design thinking is the first and foremost step that every company will do to innovate new products, innovate new things, innovate new services. So design thinking is a structured framework that you could also use before you start your IDP project, so that you can clearly identify who your target users are. You can clearly identify what is the real need for your target users, and you can develop something that kinds of aligns with the needs of your target users, and you can provide this as a solution to your target users. And of course, if the solution is very good, if the solution is very successful, you may also have an opportunity to really commercialize this idea or solution into a real business venture. So that's why we started off this session with design thinking. And design thinking is a 5-step process. We saw about empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. So empathize is very, very important. It is the first and foremost step of design thinking, where you clearly sit together with your target user, understand their pain points, what are their needs and everything, what are their problems, everything. You understand all of this, you experience all of this together with your target user. And then in the definition stage, from the hundreds of problems, from the hundreds of pain points you would have gathered by speaking with multiple target users. Like the aim is to not speak with just one target user during the empathize stage. The aim is to speak with at least 10, 20, or 50, or even 100. So the more you speak with your target users, the more better you will be able to identify the problems. So once you have spoken with a large number of target users, you will be having many different problems in your hand. So in the definition stage, you clearly define which is the target problem that you are going to solve, which is the one problem that if you solve will kind of solve many of the problems. What is the root cause of all of these problems? So you will define clearly the problem in a way of a problem statement. So once you have formulated this problem statement, you will then sit together as a team. You will ideate different solutions. So we saw about brainstorming and SWOT analysis. So during the brainstorming session, you will come up with many different ideas within a short span of time. And then you again sit together as a group and you rank these ideas in terms of strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So once you have ranked these ideas, then you will select the top 5 or top 10 ideas. Then you will start to do some prototyping. You can use just like a paper, you can use sketches to prototype, you can use cardboards. If it is a computer application or if it is a software or a mobile application, you can use many of the prototyping tools that I shared previously. If you go back to my lecture slides, you can see many of the tools that I have put there. So you can use any of these tools to come up quickly with some prototypes. Then you go back to your target user, you go and test it with them, you validate it with them. If it is good, you move on to the next stage. If the prototype is not satisfying their need, you come up with another idea, you come up with another prototype, you again go and validate. So it is going to be an iterative process, and you will be iterating this till you feel satisfied or till your target users feels satisfied with your solution. And then once you have done it, then you will implement it. So then you will get into real product development. Uh, like then you will really like build the enclosure of the product. If it is an hardware, if it is a software, you will create the functional application or software, and then you will implement it. So this is what we have seen in the design thinking session last week. It is a very important framework for you all to learn, irrespective of whether you are going to become an entrepreneur or whether you are going to work in a company. This design thinking framework is one of the most important framework for innovating new ideas, new products, and new services. So please watch the video if you haven't attended my last session. So in today's session, we are going to take one step forward from this design thinking approach to know more about lean startup method and business model canvas. So lean startup method is another important framework that entrepreneurs use to develop a startup company. So lean startup is another framework like the design thinking framework. So design thinking framework kinds of ends at a certain point, then lean startup frameworks come into picture, where you kind of like move whatever ideas you had in the design thinking phase to further commercialization. So that is what is called as lean startup framework. And then we will also see about business model canvas. I don't want to like give an introduction now itself, so we will see that later in the session. But before all of it, as we saw before, like first of all, what is a startup? What is a startup? So basically, a startup, like you sometimes you will start up your own company, or maybe you can even go to a startup company to work. So in today's world, like there are many startups coming into the market, right? So previously, like back before like 20 years before or 10 years before, there you always used to be some bigger companies where people go to work, right? So like bigger companies like for example Intel, Samsung, like the Nokia, Ericsson. So these are like some big companies that people always go to work, right? But in the past 10 years, we have seen many startups coming into the market, and each startup kinds of like works on their own products and solutions. They find a market gap and they come up with a product to address certain group of customers. So you may be even going to work to a startup company also. So that's why it is very much essential to understand what a startup is. So basically, a startup is a temporary organization designed to search for a repeatable and scalable business model. So business model is nothing but how the company creates value, basically how the company makes money while delivering products and services for customers. So for example, let's take the Casio watch, for example. So what is the business model of this Casio company? So basically the Casio company develops watches, both digital watches and smart watches. Casio was also developing like calculators and all. I think I even have a Casio calculator, like a scientific engineering calculator. Maybe even you could be having a Casio calculator. So what is the business model of Casio? So the business model of Casio is to develop products, develop hardware products like watches, smartwatches, calculators, and sell it to the market. And by that way, they make money, they make profit to run the company sustainably. So this business model, it should be repeatable and scalable. So this business model, if it should work today, it should work tomorrow, it should work after 5 years, like 6 years, right? And then scalable means like you invest some money into the company to develop the products, and you need to sell the products at a money greater than what you have invested in, so that you can get profits, right? If it takes like $100 to make this watch, and if you are just able to sell this watch at just $100 again, then your profit is zero. If you are able to sell this watch only at $50, then you are already at a loss of $50. So you need to be able to sell this watch at like $200 or $300, right, to make some profits, so that the company can sustainably run itself without the need of raising external funding and things like that. So that is why, that is what a startup does. So when you start a company, when you just start a company, your job as an entrepreneur will be to search for this repeatable and scalable business model. You will search for this business model, and finally you will find out which business model works for your company, and then you will use that business model. So we clearly understood what a startup is. Now let's see what lean startup is. So as I said before, lean startup is a framework basically. So this framework was introduced by this person, which I am showing his photo, which so his name is Eric. So he introduced this lean startup framework. So he also came up with a definition for startup. So what is a startup? From his point of view, a startup is a human institution designed to create a new product or service under conditions of extreme uncertainty. See, in today's world, everything is so much uncertain, right? Like we are speaking about a recession, like the market is down, market is slowing down, so companies are laying off people. So there is like this big uncertainty going on around this world, right? So that is why this lean startup framework, even though it was developed for startup companies, it is very much applicable even for bigger companies in today's world, because of the extreme uncertainty that currently we are undergoing upon. So basically, this lean startup framework will help you to systematically address all of these uncertainties through rapid iteration and validated learning. That's it. So what is lean startup? What's the lean startup? What's the purpose of lean startup method? Basically, like it's the method to address all these uncertainties through some sort of iterations and validated learning. So now let's see what this lean startup method really is. But before that, I also want to give you a little bit of differentiation between what a startup is and what a large company is. So many people think that startups are like smaller versions of larger companies. It's not like that. So if I see, for example, if I start my own smartphone company, basically, let's say I want to come up with my own model of smartphones, like Arjun, like the company name is Arjun, the brand name is Arjun. If I want to come up with my own model of smartphones, I can't directly compare my company with Samsung or Apple or Nokia or like Xiaomi or Oppo. Like I can't compare myself as a smaller version of these companies, because see, these bigger companies have already found out what their products are, how they want to sell these products. They have already found out who their target customers are. They already know what their market is, where is their market is. So they know all of these things. So they focus on executing things to capture the market. That is what larger companies do, because they know all of these things. Now they want to execute. They know like the market needs this product, they are going to build this product. They know the market needs this service, they are going to they're going to deliver this service. So they focus on execution. But when you or when me when I or when anyone like start up a company, we don't immediately focus on execution. We basically focus on searching and executing things. We search, we find something, we execute to achieve that. We search, we find something, we execute to achieve that. So there is a small difference between these two. So so you may be wondering, like, why are we even like learning this? Why are we like, why should we learn about like this lean startup? Why should we learn about like startup? Why should we learn about entrepreneurship? You may be all thinking that maybe like we are pursuing our engineering course. Like, why should we learn about something, the business side of things, or whether we are even eligible to learn about these things? Like, there are many students have this fundamental doubt, right? Even when I started my company, right after doing my PhD, I was even having this doubt. Okay, I like, from PhD, how can I become an entrepreneur? Like, okay, after PhD, okay, I can get into some research positions, I can get into companies to work, but how can I really get into entrepreneurship? Should I need to like get enrolled in a business school, or should I need to have some business background myself? So I was having these doubts, right? So in order to like address these doubts that you may also have, the lean startup method already provides clarifications to all of these doubts. So their very first principle is entrepreneurs are everywhere. So everyone are entrepreneurs. You are entrepreneurs. I am an entrepreneur. Everyone are entrepreneurs. We all have that entrepreneurial skill set. So there isn't any differentiation between someone can become a successful entrepreneur or someone cannot become successful entrepreneur. Someone having this education can become an entrepreneur. Someone does not who does not have this education cannot become an entrepreneur. So there isn't really any differentiation like that. So entrepreneurs are everywhere. Then basically entrepreneurship is basically management. See, when you become an entrepreneur, you are going to deal with lot of many different things. When you start up a company, you are going to deal with all the regulations of starting up a company. You are going to be the HR for your company, where you hire people to join your company. You are going to build all the products. So you are basically the CTO of the company, where you guide the technical direction of the company, and you are going to also do the business. So you are also the CEO of your company, and you speak with investors, you speak with customers, you understand their requirements, you sell, you become the salesperson for your company, you become the marketing person of your company. So imagine one person like doing all these things. So basically, like, you need to like juggle between all of these things. So basically entrepreneurship is like managing many different things. It's also like how you in a semester basically like study 6 courses or like 5 courses, different courses, right? Basically, I'm not sure like how you did. Like, when I did my bachelor's in one semester, like I had six or seven modules. Each module was different. Maybe it's the same case for you as well. So each module is different, and you kind of when you're learning electronic circuits, you put the hat of like a circuit engineer, right? You think about, okay, what is Kirchhoff's voltage law? What is Kirchhoff's current law? You think about all of these things. Then when you learn digital electronics, you fundamentally change your brain from analog to digital. Okay, now I'm going to think only about ones and zeros. I'm not going to think anything about like voltage and current anymore. I'm just going to think about ones and zeros, right? Then then suddenly you learn about electronic devices, where you learn about like transistors. Okay, the CMOS transistor. Okay, P substrate, N substrate, doping, electrons, holes. Then you suddenly you wear the hat of like a material scientist there, right? So you when you learn these fundamentally, when you learn these all different modules, you wear different hats when you learn all of these modules, right? And you kind of manage and come out successfully after the semester exams. So similarly, as an entrepreneur, you need to like wear different hats when you are doing different tasks. So that is management. And then the third important principle is considering startup as an experiment. Basically, we all do experiments, right? When you go to the lab, you take your breadboard, you try something, you connect something, you see if it is working. If it's not working, you like again change something. So we all love to do experiments, right? As engineers, like, we all love to do experiments, right? So we always have that curious mindset where we want to like do different things, find out which is working well, which is not working well, what is the advantage of this, what is the disadvantage of this. Like we do a lot of these experiments. So similarly in a startup world, you are going to do a lot of these experiments as well. So these are the most important principles of the lean startup. Entrepreneurs are everywhere. Entrepreneurship is management. Entrepreneurship is experimentation. So finally, now coming to the principle of lean startup method, like the framework of the lean startup method. Basically, when we saw about design thinking, we saw design thinking is a 5-step process, right? Empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test. So lean startup is a 3-step process. Lean startup framework is a 3-step process which says build, measure, learn, and it is in a circular loop. So the loop is very, very important. So you build something, you validate it with your target user, you measure it, you learn from that validation, then again you build something, you measure it, you learn, again you build, you measure, learn. So this loop is going to be uh, running for some time. It's not like you take one idea, you go to the customer, you find that is good, you learn, that's all, you stop building it. It's not like that. This is going to be like a circular loop, and the more number of iterations you do in this loop, the more kind of like successful you can really come up with your product. So as I said before, the fundamental activity of a startup, fundamental activity of any business, basically any business, irrespective of whether it is a startup or a big business, it is to turn ideas into products. Basically turn ideas into products or services, measure how customers respond to the products and services, learn from the feedback customer is providing, then decide whether to pivot or persevere. So what is pivot and what is persevere? See, when you learn, okay, so imagine you are going to make this watch, the dial is big, you go to a kid and you give this watch to the kid. Will the kid like this watch? Maybe not, right? Because for the kid, for let's say like you go to a nursery student, nursery kid like 3 years, 4 years old. If I go and give this watch, they will not be interested to buy this, right? Because one fundamental problem is this is so big. It is not. It is going to be so big for the kid's small hand. The second problem is the full black color of this watch. No kid is going to like a boring watch like this, a black color watch like this. They want like attractive colors like blue, green, red, like orange, like all those dark colors like that are like attractive. Then they want some images in their watches like a Donald Duck, like a Mickey Mouse, like Power Rangers, like some sort of like Spider-Man, like Batman, Superman, like some sort of like designs they want. And then they want like some small features, that's all right. They just want to see the watch, like see the time, they want a light maybe, that's all right. So the if you first made this version of prototype, you go and give it to the kid, and you learn from the kid that the expectations of the kid is very much different. Then from that learning, you develop your next prototype. So you just change the color of this watch, and then you again go and meet the kid. Then the kid says, no, the color is good, but I need still to, like, I need this to be smaller. Then you make it smaller, then you again go. Then the kid says, no, I want some design, this is very plain. So then you make a design. So you do this in loops. You do this in loops. And the company that you are working, or the company you are building, all of the processes that are present in the company should be kind of like helping you to like accelerate this feedback loop. You need to like do this feedback loop till you are satisfied. So when will you end this feedback loop? So you may be asking me, okay, like if I go on go into this feedback loop, like will it be like an infinite loop? Like how many times I need to iterate? So the answer to that is like you need to iterate till you achieve product market fit. So that is what we call as pivot or persevere, right? So every time you find that your prototype is not satisfiable for the customer, you pivot. You pivot means like you change your idea, you change your prototype, you again go, you again measure, you again learn from that, you again change, you again measure, you again learn. And finally, at one point, the customer may be satisfied, the target user may be satisfied. Okay, this is now looking good for me. And that is the point you will call it as product market fit, because now whatever you are developing, whatever you have developed so far is kind of like fitting with the market needs, right? The target user has these needs, has these expectations, your product satisfies all these expectations, you kind of fit now very closely together. So this is called as product market fit. So till you achieve this product market fit, you will be pivoting. And once you achieve this product market fit, then you will be persevering. So you will now enter into the development, and you will start to like develop the product. So what is the main purpose of doing this? What is the main purpose of doing this? So the main purpose of doing this is to build the minimum viable product. So we saw in the last slide that we need to achieve product market fit, right? So once you achieve product market fit, it is basically called as a minimum viable product. So it is the minimum viable version that you can give it to your customers. Basically, you don't develop all the 100 and that or 200s of the new features into the product, because you still haven't entered into that mass production phase where you want to like now include like all the different features, right? You are still in the very early stages of your product development, very early stages of your company. So you build this to achieve a minimum viable product. So basically the minimum viable product is having just the right amount of features for the customer to satisfy their needs. It's not like you overbuild something. See, a simple example is, see, where you are building an electronic circuit. You are building an electronic circuit. The customer is saying that, see, the circuit needs to operate at 1 gigahertz speed. The power consumption, the maximum power consumption is 10 milliwatt. The area of this circuit, like, see, I'm speaking in terms of like semiconductors basically, because I'm speaking in terms of like IC. So the customer says the IC needs to operate at 1 gigahertz. The maximum power consumption of the IC is 10 milliwatt. The area of this IC is 2 millimeter cross 2 millimeter. So this is the customer requirement. And I as a business, I as an entrepreneur just need to deliver this requirement, right? See, I can't come up with a product where I can now go back to the customer and say, hey, now I have this IC which operates at 2 gigahertz, so it is more faster than your expectation, but the power consumption is 100 milliwatt instead of your expectation of 10 milliwatt. Will the customer be interested to buy that? No, right? Because see, his requirement is only these three things. You have specified the area, the power, the speed. And as a business, I need to satisfy this need. Of course, I can provide additional features on top of satisfying these three needs, but I shouldn't provide like some feature that is so good at the expense of another feature that is so bad. If I can come up with a product that can work at 2 gigahertz, but at the same time satisfy his power consumption requirement of 10 milliwatt and satisfy the area requirement of 2 millimeter, 2 cross 2 millimeter square, then the customer will be happy, right? So that is why we always need to aim for the minimum set of requirements to satisfy the customer. So you do this to build a minimum viable product. So as a small example again here, what a minimum viable product is. See, imagine the problem that you have found out after speaking with customer is to make him travel from point A to point B. That is the problem. So you go to a rural area. So you go to a rural area uh, where there are no like public transportation available. People, like, let's say like people are so poor they can't really they don't have their own personal vehicles. So the existing vehicles in the market like are not able to satisfy their cost, their requirements. Let's say that is the problem you have identified. Now how will you build a minimum viable product? See, the minimum viable product that you should build should be like in the bottom image. So you first build a hoverboard that is very cheap, like just $10. You build a hoverboard, you go to the customer and you give it, and like he can go from point A to point B by just pushing with his legs, right? So he can just push with his legs, and he can go in this hoverboard. And maybe after that he will come and say, hey, this hoverboard is really good, but I'm not able to balance myself when I'm riding in this hoverboard. So maybe I need something to like hold my hand so that I can like go in a balanced way. So this is the feedback. Then you come up with a small hand bar, and then you put it in the hoverboard. Then the customer comes and says, hey, maybe like I go very long distance, like daily I go like 5 kilometers. So it is becoming very difficult for me to like push my legs for 5 kilometers and travel like this. So I want something where I can sit and then go from point A to point B. So that is the feedback the customer is giving. Then you come up with a cycle basically. So slowly the product needs to evolve from the hoverboard all the way to like a car. Basically, that is how you build a minimum viable product. It's not like you immediately have some idea in your mind. You immediately when a customer says like I'm not able to travel from point A to point B, when you immediately think about okay, car is the solution, then you are wrong basically. So you shouldn't be sticking with your ideas. Your ideas or product solution should be guided by the problems. You should not have a predetermined thought that I'm going to build a car, and now as a prototype first I will just build the tire, and then if you go and give this tire to the customer, will he be able to use this tire? No, right? He can't like roll over the tire and go from one place to another place, right? It is practically impossible. So when you just build the tire, you are fundamentally not getting any feedback from them. The customer may not use it at all. It is not usable at all. So that is why the minimum viable product, the prototype that you are building, should be usable by the customer, should be able to solve his problem. And then from that first prototype version V 1.0, you go to like V 10.0. Then by that V 10.0, you achieve product market fit. So this is how you go with your prototyping. And this also kinds of like eliminates risks, right? Because see, immediately when you build a car, maybe the customer is not interested to buy a car because the car wasn't his first expectation. And if you build a car and maybe you tell him that the car is now $50,000, he may not even buy it, right? But at the same time, you build a hoverboard, you say that okay, this is just $10. Maybe he will first buy it. Then maybe he will start to think about little bit of comfort. Okay, maybe if I can spend another $10, can I get a cycle? Or maybe if I can get another $50, can I get a bike? So that is how like incrementally like this process should lead you to like achieve product market fit. It's not like you think about a solution immediately and then start to like build it piece by piece. So hope that kinds of like clarifies. So where does this lean startup method fits into the design thinking framework? You may be thinking that okay, design thinking framework and lean startup framework looks very similar. Yes, it is very, very similar. Basically both of these things kind of like converge at a point. So in the design thinking process, basically you empathize, you define, you ideate, and then you prototype and test, right? That prototyping and testing phase is where this build, measure, learn loop kinds of comes into picture. So both of these together now kind of gives you a very good framework to develop new products, develop new services, start up your own venture, or if you go to a company, you can propose new products by using this framework. So that is why like these two frameworks are very important in today's world. Okay, so I've been speaking so much. I just want to pause here a little bit and ask you if there are any questions. Any questions?
I want to raise, right? I think you talked about this before. So being a student or being a lecturer or being a engineer or being a commoner in the market, right? So why we need to understand entrepreneurship and why do we need to understand the lean what you call lean startup?
Lean startup.
Why do we need to have this conscious and this understanding? Is
Yes.
it necessary and giving impact to our lives?
Yes. So basically, as I said before, like this lean startup design thinking framework is not just applicable for like entrepreneurship and startup in general. So many companies are also using these frameworks to develop new products because the world is becoming very uncertain. So the previous way of developing new products was like companies always build a product, then they will introduce it to the market with an expectation that people will buy it when they introduce a new product. That's how companies were in the past. So see, when smartphones came, no one really even expected that. No one really think about smartphones. Like when Apple came up with the first iPod or first smartphone, no one were even thinking about something like this will exist. But so those are called as like disruptive innovations. So for those disruptive innovations, we don't need to like really perform this design thinking, or like we don't need to really perform all this market research. When we know that this is a disruptive innovation, we can come up with a product directly, we can release it to the market, and then we can get feedback. Sometimes it can be successful, sometimes it can't be successful also. So for example, let's take the Apple Vision Pro, like that recently came. Before Apple Vision Pro came, Facebook also came up with their own virtual reality headset, but it wasn't really successful. And then Apple is now coming up with their own Vision Pro, but it is so expensive now. So they are still trying to like penetrate the market. So that is why there is a lot of these risks associated without getting this customer feedback validation. So in order to like de-risk a lot of this, that's why we need to understand from customers whether there is a market for what we are building, whether customers will be interested to buy if we build this. So that's why even as an engineer, we come up with a lot of solutions, but are these solutions really being used by the society today, or are these solutions really being used by a common person today? In many instances, no, right? Like we come up with a lot of solutions, we come up with a lot of ideas, but many are like practically not kind of like usable also. So that's why we need to like learn this framework, and then when we apply this framework, we can come up with solutions that could be usable in today's world.
Okay, so Dr. Arjun, that you are suggesting by understanding this framework of thinking as in the shoe of entrepreneur and the startup people, right? Even engineer or maybe the people who are work for others, right? We actually understand them, right? And then we are able
Yes.
to consider and think in a way that probably they like it, in a way that meets their requirement, right?
Yes.
Is it that something that you are suggesting that the it's not necessary that we spin up? It's not necessary. Sometimes spin up could be could be risky and costly,
Yes.
but
Yes.
sometimes yes, but we could be part of the team, right?
Yes. Yes.
Might not be the main player, but it could be part of the team who may
Yes.
know, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
we could work together with a team, but and that team is the dream is there. Then we think in the same way,
Yeah,
right?
actually, this is very much important for people who are kind of like currently working, but still have an aspiration to become an entrepreneur, right? So for example, all these students, like maybe after 10 years, like they now go to work, they don't care about like entrepreneurship, startup, anything. They because like for all the students, like still the corporate world is like more attractive, right? Because it's like not risky and things like that. But that is also fundamentally changing now. The corporate world is also becoming risky. Like back in the olden days, if we get into Google, Apple, such big companies, these layoffs and all
Yes.
wasn't even part of the equation. But now like all these big companies are even like laying off people. So maybe like these people like 10 years they are working, and maybe after 10 years they feel bored, or maybe they feel like they are not challenged enough, or maybe they feel like they are not valued by the company, or maybe they feel they have some skill sets which no one has, by which they can like make something even more meaningful. So at some point like these students will start to think, okay, why shouldn't I start up? Like I have this skill set, I have this knowledge, I know, because like over the past, over the 10 years they would have gathered some experience, maybe they would have spoken with a lot of customers, they would have attended like a lot of trade shows. So maybe they think about, okay, there is a problem out there, like there is a need, I have the experience to do it, I have the skill sets, can I now do it on myself? So at that point there will be two options for these people, right? One is they immediately quit their job and they start their venture, or maybe few people may still think, okay, still it is risky, so maybe like in the evening times or in my weekends, let me try to do something, let me slowly do something, and slowly build this to the point that now I feel confident that I can quit my full-time job. So in that process is where this design thinking lean startup will really help them to do this systematically, like address all these uncertainties, like validate all these learnings with customers. And at one point they feel that, okay, they achieve the product market fit. Like they would have just spent like $1,000, $2,000, instead of like quitting their job, they know that they have already achieved product market fit. Now they can like confidently like quit the job, they can like introduce this product into the market, they can start up their own business.
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. Who
Yes,
knows?
yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay. A couple of more questions. What is the risk of startup and expected return? Is there a way to address these factors and make a decision? So yes, startup is always risky. So the expected returns, like it ranges from like minus minus all the way to like minus infinity to like all the way to like plus infinity. So that's how like the range is always. So there are many. So all the venture capital investors, they know that there is a big risk in investing in startups. So what they always do is like they will diversify their investments. So they will invest in 100 startups, basically in different fields. Different, they will invest in biotech, clean energy, marine tech, logistics, semiconductor, electronics, like hardware, robotics, machine learning, IT. So they will invest in all these new ventures. But they will know that out of the 100 startups they invested, only two is going to be successful. All the remaining like 98 is going to die. But the two successful ones will basically compensate, the return of those two will kind of like compensate all of the 98 losses. So that's how like this startup game always work, because we always speak about valuation. So valuation is not the real money the company has in its business. Basically the company may just have like only like $1,000 in the in their bank account, but it may be already valued at like $10 million. So the investor can like just sell off his shares for like $10 million and he can exit the business. So that is why like real business is different, like startup valuation is different. So it's a different game. Like we will also see this when we have the next session, like everything we need to know about startups. Yes. And how much we should do and achieve to be ready to push the product into the market, time, effort, and resources. Yes, basically like we need to our goal, our main goal is to like achieve this product market fit in a short time as possible. So that is why this rapid prototyping, rapid iteration is very important. So people shouldn't like think about like making their prototype beautiful. People should think about making the prototype usable than making it beautiful. The beautiful part will come with the end product, but over the course of making the end product, they need to like validate this many number of times, quickly, so that they can achieve this product market fit, and then they can like develop the full product and launch it into the market. Of course, they for that, like we need like money, we need like resources. So we can like raise external funding with venture capital investors, with government grants, those kind of things. Or maybe if we already start to make some money out of the prototypes that we had made, we can use that money also to like expand the company also. Okay. So let's go back to the session again. Okay, so far we have seen how to build a minimum viable product. So once we have built a minimum viable product, now we need to start thinking about how to build a business with it, right? Because so far, like we haven't thought about any of the business aspects. We were just thinking about what is the customer problem, what is the prototype, what is the idea we are going to come up with, what is the prototype we are going to build, how are we going to validate. So that's what we have been thinking about so far, both in the design thinking framework and the lean startup framework. But then once we have this minimum viable product, then we need to think about a lot of other things, right? We need to think about how to really make a business with it. So this is where many people get stuck and kind of get confused, because during the design thinking phase and during the lean startup phase, it's kind of like very straightforward. We think about we just think about the customer problem, we think about ideas, we think about prototypes, we develop the prototype, we go and test it with them, we validate it with them. So it was kind of like straightforward. But business is something different, right? You need to now business is something different. Like you need branding, you need company name, you need an office, you need people working for you, you need manpower, you need many different resources, capabilities. First of all, you need money. So you need lots and lots of different things. So how to like think about all of these things, right? So when you start to think and write about all of these things, like you will now come up with like a list so big that you are going to be easily confused, you are going to be easily scared, because now you think, oh, we now have so many different things to do, how to really do this. So we cannot do this randomly. So if you start to do this randomly, like you will really lose the big picture. Like you will easily get disheartened, you will easily get frightened, right? Because now you will feel like there are so many things to do, like maybe this is not for me, like I will not be able to do all of these things. So this is why we cannot do this in a random way. So we need a structure. We need a structure to kind of like jot down all of our hypotheses and guesses and ideas and thoughts. And then we need to go and again validate these hypotheses, and we need to turn them into real facts. So that structure is basically called as a business model canvas. Again, this is a framework as well. Business model canvas is a framework to help you collectively, to help you gather and collect all of your thoughts and hypotheses. So basically basically this business model canvas like helps you to like visualize and test your business without over complicating the approach or without wasting too much of money. So this business model canvas, as we can see, like they are like divided into like many things. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So there are divided into like 9 buckets, and each bucket kinds of like targets one thing, right? So there are like key partners, key activity, key resources, value proposition, customer relationship, channel, customer segment, revenue streams, cost structure. So each of this bucket kinds of like depicts something. So let's see what each of this bucket means, starting from the value proposition and customer segment. See, what is value proposition, what is customer segment? Let's speak it in a very simple example again. Let's take our old example of the Casio watch. So you are going to build a watch for kids. Who is your customer segment? Basically your customer segment are kids, right? You can't go and sell a kid's watch to an adult, and similarly vice versa. You can't go and sell an adult's watch to a kid. Similarly, if you take any beauty products, like again I was giving this example in the last design thinking session. Beauty products, who are the customer segments? Young people, like women, people going to work. So these are like the customer segments, right? So what is value proposition? So value proposition is basically kind of like two things. One is what gain you are providing to this particular customer segment, what pain you are relieving for this customer segment. So basically, like either your product or service should create a gain or should relieve a pain. So let's say, for example, a very simple example again, patients having fever. Patients having fever is your customer segment. Your value proposition is basically like pain relieving, right? Basically, you kind of, let's say you come up with a paracetamol tablet. Basically, you come up with a paracetamol tablet. It is going to relieve their pain. It is going to relieve their features. So that is kind of like a pain reliever. Imagine your customer segments are people going to gym, people who wants to like build their body, like have the six packs, like want to like build the muscles, like. So you are coming up with a protein powder product that is going to help them like gain these muscles, right? So this is what like value proposition customer segment is. So value proposition is like either you need to create a gain or you need to like relieve some pain. So it depends on like what your product line is, what your service is, and depends also on like who your customer segments are. So either you can create some gain, or you kind of like relieve some pain from them. uh, so coming back to the beauty products example, so what gain you provide them? So basically you provide the gain is like you make them attractive, you make them beautiful, you make them look appealing, right? So that is the gain you are creating. But similarly, there is a particular segment of beauty products that are catered only to the old age people, basically. So basically there are like these creams which helps to remove the wrinkles that old age people gets, right? So people above like 50, 60, 70, like they kind of like start to get little bit of like wrinkles in their face and all, right? So there are like certain beauty creams to reduce this skin sagging, or like reduce this wrinkles. So this is the pain you are relieving, basically. So there is a pain of like the pain means like not really pain, there is this problem of like wrinkles in the skin that you are relieving. So problem, relieving a problem or creating something more better way. So that is called as value proposition. So for your customer segment, for your product that you are thinking, like once you have done this design thinking, once you have done this lean startup method, you will clearly know who your customer segment is, and you will clearly know what is the value you are providing to them. So the goal is to, as I said before, is to achieve product market fit. You create value and capture value. And then channels and customer relationships. So channel, once you have identified who your customer segments are, now you need to think about how to get your product to your customer. How are you going to sell this? How are you going to distribute this? In which medium you are going to sell this? Whether you are going to sell it physically or virtually. So physically means like you set up a shop in your city, you set up a shop in a mall, in a shopping mall, and then you stack all the products and you sell it. Virtually means like, oh no, I can't afford rental paying rents of these shops. So then maybe you can tie up with Amazon, you can tie up with such online logistics providers, and then you kind of like sell your products through this virtual channel. So you need to, for your business, which is the channel that is most attractive, you need to think about it. And it also depends upon the customer segment also. Sometimes if you are targeting people, older people, it may be difficult for you to sell the products in a virtual way, right? Because maybe people are not technologically savvy, they don't have a smartphone. So you need to assess all of these things. And then how customer relationship is like, how do you get your customers, how do you retain your customers, how do you grow your customers, like what is your strategy to do this? So there are like many strategies, right? So companies always come up with this promotion strategies. Okay, like if you get one, you get one for free, 50% discount, like 80% discount. So all these strategies they come up with, right? So this is what customer relationship. And sometimes you get these newsletters, like customers get receive these newsletters, like some exclusive offers only for you. Maybe if you get something like and if you would have given your birth date, during your birthday, maybe companies give you some exclusive offer. So these are how you are going to establish your relationship with your customers. And then key activities, key partners, key resources. So this is where like you need to now really think about many different things of your business. So if you are starting a business, what is your key activity? First of all, what is your key activity? See, uh, taking Apple iPhone for example, Apple does not manufacture their phones. Apple only designs the phones. All of the phones are manufactured by other contract electronics manufacturers like Foxconn, where I am also working on. So so Apple's key activity is not manufacturing. Apple's key activity is just designing the product. So similarly for your business, you need to also understand what is your key activity, because see, one business cannot excel in all of the different things. Either you excel in design, or you excel in manufacturing, or you excel in delivering. So that's all right. See, take Amazon for example. Amazon's key activity is not to design, develop products. They basically came up with a platform where they connect buyers and sellers, and they basically have an e-commerce platform. So the e-commerce platform is their key activity. Of course, they have many other different businesses also, but for each of the business, you need to understand what is your key activity. And for this key activity, what are the resources you need? What are the partners? Who are the partners you need? Because for each of this activity, both the resources and partners will be different. If you choose manufacturing as a key activity, the resources you need is like huge amounts of money, huge amounts of space to set up all the mechanical infrastructure, regulations, like all of these things you need. And similarly, you need like partners, like getting the raw materials, you need distributors, you need suppliers, like so all of these partnerships you need. But at the same time, if you just focus on designing, like you don't need like so much of money, you don't need so much of physical infrastructure, you don't need any complex equipments. You can just get an office space, you can get like few systems. But the partners may be different, like design software providers, like for example Altium, CAD, and Synopsys. Like these could be your partners, right? So for your so so it all starts with your customer segment, value proposition, channels, customer relationship. And for all of this, what is your key activity? And for this key activity, who could be your what key resources you need, and who could be your key partners? And then to do all of this, what is your cost structure and how do you make money? So to do all of this, how much cost you need? Where are you going to spend money? Like how much money you are going to spend in each and every item? And then how are you going to make money? What is your revenue model? So are you going to make money by just by delivering the products, or are you like a contract manufacturing where you just manufacture the product, or are you are like a service provider where you just provide the services? So this is how you uh, think of like making money. So this is the business model canvas. So now let's have a look at the business model canvas of Facebook for a quick example for you. So you maybe you all use Facebook, Instagram, right? Or like other social media platforms. LinkedIn is there. So you all use like these social media platforms. So basically, who are the customer segments? The customer segments are like users like us, advertisers, marketers, developers. So you also see a lot of advertisements in all of these social media platforms, right? So advertisers and marketers are also like one of the users. And then public users like you, me, like all of us are like public users. So these are the customer segments. And what is the channel of Facebook? So Facebook is like a virtual platform. It is not a physical book for you to carry, right? It is a virtual platform. So internet is the channel. Website, there is a website, there's a mobile application. So these are the channels. And what is the customer relationship? Basically, it is a self-service platform, right? Facebook does not come to you and ask you to like create an account. Basically, you go to the Facebook website and you create an account, right? So the customer relationship is like very much of like a self-serviced platform, but of course like there are like for advertisers, for marketers, maybe they provide some support also, but for us like we don't get any support, right? Like Facebook does not guides us like how to create an account. Facebook does not guides us how to post a picture in the Facebook does not guides us to like write different posts, like how to create a group. So nothing is there, right? So it's basically like the customer relationship is very simple. It is a self-service platform. But what value proposition is giving Facebook? What value proposition is giving? Basically, it is giving a global connectivity. So you can be connected with me, I can be connected with you, irrespective of wherever we are in the Earth, of course. But of course, like even people in the International Space Station are like getting communicating with Facebook. So wherever you can have internet, like you can be connected, right? Imagine like 5 years later, Elon Musk puts a rocket in Mars, and people like the first person lands in Mars, and he puts up a internet connectivity there, because Elon Musk already has a lot of the satellite internet uh, business. So he puts up an internet connectivity there, and someone sitting in the Mars can now post something and you can see that. So this global connectivity is the value proposition. Of course, like sharing of ideas, publishing our brand, expanding our business, like all of these are like value propositions. So to do all of this, what is the key activity that Facebook is doing? The key activity for them is like developing this platform and maintaining it. Imagine like there are like millions and millions of people who are using Facebook, and every day like hundreds of thousands of people are like creating new accounts. So they need to like develop this platform, maintain this, and data security is very important, especially in today's world, because accounts get hacked and a lot of these problems pop in. So data security, securing the account is very important. So they need to create algorithms. They need to create algorithms to curtail the spread of fake news, and a lot of these things are their key activities. And for these key activities, like what are the key resources, key partners? Key resources is network, basically data centers, which can handle like the huge amount of data that we post every day. Talent, people having skill sets in cyber security, artificial intelligence, machine learning, coding, user interface, user experience, like all people having IT skills, computer science skills, algorithm knowledge. Of course, Facebook also has some hardware businesses, so people having hardware knowledge. So all of these are the key resources, and key partners are like content creators, um, like third-party content creators are the key partners. So for doing all of this, what is the cost structure and revenue stream? So where they are spending money? So of course, to develop this platform, to maintain this platform, to keep the platform up always up to date, they need to spend money. To maintain all the data, to protect the data, they need to maintain money. Sometimes they can acquire content from third-party marketers, content creators, so they spend money. Of course, they need to do research and development, right? Because they need to also be thinking of like how the future cyber attack can happen. So they need to always think about like innovative new ideas, so that they invest some money into research and development. Then of course they spend some money on customer service, they spend some money on marketing and advertising. So basically, like, see, we creating an account in Facebook and posting like thousands of pictures, thousands of videos, basically means we are making Facebook spend money for us, right? Because when we put like thousands of videos, they need to now care about like all the videos we put. Like they need to protect all these videos. They need to like store all these videos. They need to store all these photos. So basically, we are depleting their money by being in Facebook. So that is why how can they make money? Then how can they be profitable? How can they sustain the business? So this is why like ad revenue is there 99% of the revenue. So you go to Facebook, you scroll like 2 times, immediately you see an ad. You scroll another 2 times, you immediately see an ad. So you scroll like every now and then you will see an ad popping up in Facebook, right? So this is how they make money. So basically they promote all the different products to you based on cookies, based on your interests. Because see, when you post pictures, when you provide details about you, when you search something in Google, you indirectly provide lot of information about you, right? See, more than our parents, Google, Facebook knows about us, because we search a lot of things. Like the moment I search headphone in Google, the next second I can see an advertisement in Facebook. So see how fast the technology has been connected together, how fast these cookies, how fast they are able to extract our data and immediately target advertisements on us. You can just go and try. Maybe many people would have also realized, you just go in Google, you just type something like headphone, mouse, like watch, smartwatch, then you go to Facebook, Instagram, like immediately you'll see those advertisements following you. So this is how they make money, right? They want to compensate for all of this costing that they do for us, and they get money back by all of this advertisement revenue. And of course, like they also have they were also selling their previous virtual reality like headsets called as Oculus, so they get some money out of it also. So fundamentally, this is how a business model canvas will look like. So for your business, for your product idea, like see, Facebook has multiple businesses. So this whole canvas may not be applicable in general to the whole big company, right? But when you start up a company, your product is just one. Your business is just focused on one thing. So for that, you can easily fill up this business model canvas. But of course, later when you start to diversify your offerings, when you start to diversify your products, then maybe like for each product line, you will have a business model canvas. But just by having this business model canvas, you can basically now structure your thoughts. And again, you need to go and validate this each and everything that we put in the business model canvas. It's not like you just writing it down. Whatever you write it, you need to go and validate. So if you put customer segments as young people, you need to go and speak with hundreds of young people. If you put some value proposition, you need to go and validate with these 100 people that whether this is a value proposition for them. If you put this as a key activity, you need to validate. If you put this as a key partner, if you put someone as a key partner, you need to go and speak with that partner, and you need to make them you need to convince them to be a partner for you. And cost structure, if you put like you are going to spend like $100 every month for this for getting this subscription, like you need to like validate all of this. And then finally revenue, like when you put like, okay, this is how I'm going to make money, then again you need to validate this by really speaking with customers and partners. So this is the business model canvas. I hope for your IDP project, you can also similarly set up a business model canvas. You can first start with design thinking. You can apply the lean startup method, then start to build this business model canvas. If you go to Google and click just type business model canvas template, you can find a lot of templates, and then you can start to fill up all of this, and it will kind of like really help you to like understand how you can really now convert your project into a business. What are all the different considerations you need to take into account, and what are all the different things you need to really convert this into a business. So with this, I will end my session today. Hope it was interesting for you. Would be happy to like answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the student? I posed a couple.
Okay.
I think I thought this is the personal coaching to me.
Okay.
And then accompanied by the student, right? And some other lecturer, and hopefully people get the benefit from the sharing and the Q&A. But there's some I asked about this on the chat box. You may is it possible for you to answer a couple of them before we close?
So there's sort of consultation on business, Dr. Yes, business model canvas help to outline business strength and weakness. Yes, of course, when you start to fill this, we will clearly also understand like what strengths we are having, what weaknesses we are having, because Even though the business model canvas like didn't explicitly have a column for like strength and weakness, just by filling this value proposition itself, like you can understand like what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. And then do we consider competitor? So in business model canvas, like of course we don't consider the competition, but that is a very important part of the canvas. So it's actually a very good question actually. In my opinion, like the business model canvas should be like 10 buckets. So the 9 buckets that I showed, plus there should be another bucket where competition should also be considered, because that is very, very important for any business. Like we can come up with anything, but if it is not competitive, or if the competitors already have similar products and they are like offering at low cost, then our business may not be successful. So I think like we need to like really consider the competition also in the canvas. And then yes, risks and potential threats. Yes, what if as the beginner the canvas turns into a lot of vacancy after practicing? What is that suggesting? So if there are a lot of like gaps, then it means, yeah, we still need to think about, we haven't like really have any answers for this. So this is when we need to now go out and speak with people, real business people. We need to like similar people working in the similar areas. Like we need to go and speak with people to understand these things, because as alone, like we may not like know everything. So that's why like for any business, for any entrepreneurship, like external networking is very, very important. It's not like we sit inside the home and we just do it. So that is like research. We sit inside the home without speaking to anyone. We that is research. But then like once we have done it, now we need to go get out of the building, like go and speak with real people. We need to attend trade shows, marketing shows. We need to speak with different people and like validate like all of these hypotheses. And sometimes people also give us some good ideas also, which we couldn't really have considered as well. So getting out, speaking with people is very important. So as students, we all tend to like do things on our own without any interaction with the outside world. But when we want to become an entrepreneur, like outside world interaction is very, very important.
Okay, is there any more question before we end? I think this is a very important sharing on the construction of the ideas, right? Construction of idea and how actually it could be benefits, right? In some way in our work, and sometimes if we spin off into a business, either a big business or small business,
Yes.
right? It could be small business, right? It's not necessary to be very big ideas, right? Okay,
Yeah.
but I think that's it for today. Thank you very much, Dr. Arjun, for sharing. I
Yeah.
think the rest of the student, you could stay back if you have anything you want to discuss before we get into holidays. Right, next week is the big day, right? Next week, right?
Yes.
So if you want to share anything, we can chat here, and if not, we should end earlier. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr.
Yeah,
Arjun.
thank you, sir. Yeah.
Guys, please
Thank
say
you.
thank you to Dr. Arjun.
Thank you. See you all in the next session. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Doctor. See you. Okay. Any question from the floor?